Today we get an incredibly important reminder that if you are going to rescue a hostage, your marksmanship skills better be up to par. Hi everyone, welcome to today's research-informed badge cam lesson here at Active Self-Protection. It's an interesting one. I am your host, John Correa.
I'm your co-host, Mike Williver. Today's video comes to us from Salt Lake City, Utah.
Dark Star Gear is one of the few companies that I trust to make holsters that I wear. They make high-quality appendix carry holsters for a variety of firearms manufacturers. Check them out at the link in the description.
Police have been called here because of a disturbance inside a store. Now, these officers don't know that these two guys actually know each other. What they've heard is the one is threatening the other with a knife, and that is what the officers are going to show up to see. We have badge cam from two officers. Let's listen in.
Can you step it up? He has a knife with him. Drop the knife and... Hey! I will tase you if you don't stop. Stop right there. Hey! He's got a hostage.
5-12, we got a hostage. Stop! Put the knife down, dude.
Put it down!
Put it down! All units be advised, channel 2 is now restricted emergency traffic only, 927.
Put it down!
I guarantee you, dude, I promise you. Look, I don't make promises I can't keep. I don't make promises I can't keep. I promise you that. Hey, look, dude, it's not worth it.
Hey.
It's not worth it, dude.
Look, this is... Fuck!
Dude, it's not worth it. Put it down. I guarantee you, dude. I promise you. Look, I don't make promises I can't keep. I don't make promises I can't keep. I promise you that. Hey, look, dude, it's not worth it. It's not worth it, dude.
Go read the news stories that I've linked in the description. This man did not survive his injuries here. He was, if you look at what the family says, suffering from significant mental challenges, but also, we're going to talk about it in the lessons. These officers obviously don't know any of that. Okay, were you watching that going, what in the no marksmanship skills have we got?
I'll just say it made me very nervous. We'll talk a lot about more in the lessons.
Man, yeah. Oof. I do think it's worth mentioning at the start here, Mike, that the officers don't have the full picture, that these guys are friends and screwing with each other and they've had history together, and this guy is having some kind of a manic episode at the same time. All they can do is work on is what they see in the moment. And so this officer sees a guy with a knife in his hand that is certainly ostensibly threatening the other guy with the knife in his hand, and any reasonable person would look at that and say that guy's threatening him with that knife.
Yeah, once again, you got to bear in mind, folks, that the police officer or sheriff's deputy gets out of their car and they have whatever information they got over the radio from a dispatcher. And again, that's like the worst game of telephone. It's a dispatcher who's then typing something into a computer to talk to another dispatcher who's then talking to you out in the field. So a lot of the time, what you're going to do is show up and evaluate what's in front of you, and it takes you a moment to orient yourself to that. And at this point, I think he's like, okay, I got problems. So he didn't waste a lot of time in beginning to address that, which I think is really, really well done on his part.
Yeah, and I really do want to say, I feel like the beginning here that this officer did a pretty good job of coming on scene, containing the problem, and starting to address it, all right? And you're going to work, this is what we call the fog of war, right? You're never going to have complete, total knowledge of what's going on. Or very seldom. You're always going to have to work with incomplete information, and nobody requires you to work perfectly or to understand perfectly. It's all about what would be reasonable in the moment and you know what we can expect of a trained person that we have trained. Now, there's one thing here that I would say that we would expect of a trained person. I absolutely hate the akimbo stance here. He's got a taser in one hand and his firearm in the other, taser in the left and firearm in the right. Listen, if you don't have lethal cover, you should not have a taser out against somebody that you know has a knife. That is it, full stop. Put the taser away even before you draw your gun.
Yeah, 100%. There's really not much of an excuse for this. I know it seems like, well, he was just trying to figure out what to do. You got other stuff figured out way before you hit the street. And I'm not going to give him too hard of a time, but if it's time for the gun, let's focus on the gun. As soon as you pull up, you pull the taser out, see what's going on, you evaluate, okay, this guy's got a knife. I need to switch to lethal. I want you to either drop that taser, right? Or if you can put it away safely or whatever and get your gun out. But I want the gun out and the gun only out. Here's why. You're in a hostage situation here. And John and Neil and Steph and all the people at ASP can tell you, hitting that small of a target is not easy. It's something you have to have practiced, and it's really something best done with two hands on the gun.
Listen, hitting small targets, you need two hands on the gun. Do we ever practice with one hand on the gun? Yes. But the big thing here is, again, is weapon confusion. I mean to fire the taser, but I press the trigger on my gun. Kim Potter went to jail for that very thing and is a convicted felon for basically confusing her taser with a firearm. So you don't want that. Now, he does put the gun away and get two hands on the gun. And that is correct. So eventually he comes through to that. I'm just telling you, officers, tell yourself, if I have a taser in my hand, I don't have a gun in my hand. If I need the gun, the taser gets put away or dropped all day, every day. Now, he's going to come to the place here where he's going to decide, I have to shoot this guy. And I think that that's a reasonable decision. The guy's using his hostage as a shield and is threatening him with a knife and has that knife up to his throat. And so the officer is going to go, you know what? I need to take a shot here, and here's where he takes the shot. Now, how far away is he? I want to be very cautious with the fisheye lens effect of badge cams. Because if you look at the sidewalk spots, those sidewalk sections are about 4 feet. So if you look, he's about like 8 feet in one direction, about 6 feet in the other. So that makes the hypotenuse that we're looking at here, he's about 10 feet away. And at 10 feet, 3 yards and a little bit, he has a full value head presentation here. So about a 6-inch circle target. So yes, of course, we want to hit inside the little bitty, ocular cavity. But anywhere he hits him in the head is okay. And quite frankly, at 3 yards, if you cannot on command hit a 6-inch target under some time pressure, Mike, your skills just ain't up to it.
Yeah, I have to concur with that as well. Dot torture is a thing. If you've never done it or don't know what it is, look it up. There's tons of videos on our extra channel about how to put yourself through a dot torture, but that is the sort of training rep I think that really qualifies as preparing you for something like this, other than having obviously a target with a hostage situation set up on it and a timer, to put that urgency into it. Something else I noticed here, John, I would have liked to have seen the officer whose badge camera watching now move his feet and flank a little bit to the right. Why do I say that? I feel like if he's further away on the other end of that triangle, if he and his partner and the suspect are a triangle, him going flanking to the right, staying out of her line of fire, means that this guy's got to move the hostage a little bit more to his left to keep in between him and this officer, thereby hopefully opening up a better shot for his partner or vice versa, depending on where he puts his attention. Just something to think about. I think if they'd have spread out a little bit more, they might have given themselves a better shot to get a clearer shot on the suspect.
A better angle for your L-shaped ambush, right? That's an L-shaped safety for you and for your partner. So think about that if you can. I mean, obviously these things change in a heartbeat. He stepped in to try to get a little closer shot, but he missed. Then he's going to take another shot, finally start getting hits. I do want to say as well, good decision-making on the officer's part when this guy went down. Remember, there's a difference between a knife-wielding attacker and a firearm-wielding attacker. Somebody with a firearm could still absolutely be a deadly threat here. But with a knife, as soon as he goes down, he's no longer a threat because if he doesn't have anybody in his immediate vicinity. So I really think it was a good decision here, which tells me at least, again, marksmanship skills not great, but decision-making skills here very strong in stopping when the threat's over.
Yeah, John always talks about that human performance factor and how it takes a moment. Once you've decided to shoot, it takes a moment for your body to comply with your brain's order to do that, and likewise, it takes a moment for your body to comply with your brain's decision to stop shooting. But I think he stopped here just at the right moment. No unnecessary shots, no extra shots, which is what I want to see from my law enforcement officers. The minimum amount of force necessary to effect an arrest and or save the hostage in this situation. Tough call. We're gonna pick apart the shooting here quite a bit, but the decision to actually shoot, to do what he did, is a difficult one, and I'm glad they didn't wait around for this guy to get stabbed.
I totally agree with that. So if I had to choose somebody who was an incredible marksman or somebody who was a good decision maker, frankly, give me the good decision maker every day of the week, because we can remediate marksmanship skills. Marksmanship skills can be learned. Good decision making, much more difficult to do and much more difficult to happen. And he made good decisions here. So I don't want to give him too hard a time. He does need some remedial marksmanship training, all right? And the ability to hit a small target on command is a necessary thing. I also wanted you to notice there, he had a malfunction in the gun at the end. Thankfully, he didn't need any more because he only fired about 4 rounds, 3 or maybe 5, and his gun was locked to the rear. Now, our female officer, I think there's a lot here to talk about. Again, the marksmanship skills. I also, Mike, I'm going to say, I didn't love kind of the promises that she made here. You know, she's kind of bowing up and like, I don't make promises I can't keep. Well, the reality is she kind of did make a promise she couldn't keep because she made, took that shot. And she here, when you count up the a number of segments of sidewalk between her and this guy, she's about 15 feet away from him, all right? So she's somewhere around 5 yards with a 6-inch target, and she whiffed. And of course, it came out okay here because the guy didn't end up slicing that guy's throat, but his life was at risk, and misses don't end gunfights.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, at this point, you need emergency communication. We're not going to try any de-escalation techniques in this moment. You're trying to save someone's life. You're trying to prevent a volatile, unpredictable suspect from potentially cutting this guy's throat open and killing him on the sidewalk. So you want one officer with comms with a suspect, one officer making clear, concise commands to drop the knife or whatever it is. You might get a bit of a verbal loop. That's not the end of the world. But I think, yeah, as John said, you've got time and you've got a pretty big window here to make this shot. I suspect maybe she was kind of walking them in from the left, from her left to her right a little bit, trying to kind of suss out, where that first round would hit him. I'm not sure, but yeah, here we are.
Here we are. And listen, remember, we use this mantra: grip is the master, sight set the pace, trigger is the servant. And you have to know for sure that you can make this kind of hit, or you have to spend enough time on the range that you can gain that competence. Notice I didn't say confidence, I said competence. In this case, confidence should come from competence. Now, she does reset and try again. And her second shot here, I'm going to slow it down as it moves, is about 1.5 seconds after the first one. So she's not panic firing. She is trying to acquire her sights, in my estimation, and get a good shot. But whether her sights, I doubt her sights are off. I think she's using an iron-sighted pistol. And I think what's going on here is she just doesn't have the grip control to keep her sights where she wants them while she finishes her trigger press. And there are techniques involved to build that. It's not just, do-gooder. It's understanding how to add pressure to the trigger, to the wall of the trigger, and keep your sights where you want them until the shot breaks at the time of your choosing. We teach that over on Active Self-Protection Extra. And this idea in the drill that Mike talked about, dot torture, right? Every officer should be able to clear a dot torture at 3 yards. I'm not saying that should be a legal standard, but I'm saying you should absolutely have that as a personal standard. And I'll put a link to dot torture in the description so that you can print the target on a sheet of paper and do it. And Mike, again, if you don't know that you can do that, you got to close this distance until you're at a distance you know you can.
Yeah, moving it a little bit might have helped. Almost certainly would have helped. Listen, I want to address the elephant in the room because we're going to get comments. We're going to get letters, John. People are going to be like, hey, where are these rounds going? And we agree. John and I both agree with you. Where are they going? God knows where. Back into that backstop, which nothing looks great except for the trees, right? So those rounds are going somewhere, and that's a story for another time. We acknowledge that. I think moving in a little bit, and again, having that partner strafe or try to flank this guy to the right, to the suspect's left. Therefore, moving the hostage, his human shield would have to be moved to a point where he can only block one of these officers with his human shield. I did notice also after her second round, I'm pretty sure he heard and felt that angry bee going right by his ear. You saw him flinch like that. So she was getting closer, and eventually they hit him.
Eventually they hit him. But remember, we say this all the time, man. You cannot miss fast enough to win a gunfight, but you can hit slow enough to lose one. It's very hard to miss fast enough to win a gunfight. Very easy to hit slow enough to lose one. So which more important, speed or accuracy? Well, she wasn't shooting very fast here, but she was not shooting accurately enough. And your department, your agency's training program in the academy and the little bit of in-service that you get, I hate to say this, Mike, but the reality is it is not going to train you to be good enough on that day. You have to invest your own time here.
Yeah, I know from having been a firearms instructor with my previous agency, there's only so much time and there's only so much money the agency is going to provide you as the officer or deputy or agent to provide firearms training. There are budget considerations and there are time considerations, there are manpower considerations. So you owe it to yourself, to your partners, to your agency, and your community to get some kind of training over and above what the department provides. I know it's not cheap. I know there's not a lot of time for that. But if you find yourself in this position, you're going to wish you'd done that before this moment of truth came.
You really will, right? And you don't want it to be after your gunfight that you go, gosh, man, I wish that I had more skill with the gun, or I wish that I had better control of my grip and my sights and my trigger. Learn all that now so that you're not even thinking about it, all right? I think the other thing here, I think she was shooting her sights. She's shooting at a good pace. She just didn't have the grip control and the trigger control in order to get the hits that she needed. But notice here, the target opened up a little bit. So if you are shooting your sights, you might be able to see, even in the midst of a string, hey, my target area just opened up, so I can choose a larger target to get a combat effective hit. And I think she actually did that here, and I do want to commend her for that, Mike.
Yeah, I think recognizing, again, decision-making being what it is, showing up at the scene and figuring what the heck's going on based on the dispatcher and based on what you're being presented, and then going from, okay, this is maybe an argument, to, oh no, he's maybe trying to stab this guy. Now I'm the rescuer, right, of this hostage, to now, okay, he's broken away, and now I need to transition from I need a headshot to I've got a center of mass or a much easier to hit target at this point. And I feel like both of them did do that once he disengaged from the hostage, from his human shield, because as we can see, almost immediately after that happened, the guy goes down. And I do want to commend her. She's not panic firing. She's not freaking out. Accuracy could have been better. We want to see these officers doing those dot torture drills. However, you could tell she was very methodical and like I said, maybe walking it in. I'm not sure, but she's not panic firing. She's not losing her mind. She's just taking her time and reassessing with every shot.
She is. So again, I would choose a good decision maker over a good marksman any day of the week. I also will say this. This is just John getting on his soapbox for a minute, okay? I'm not saying iron sights are not useful. You can use them. But I will say that a pistol-mounted optic here will tell you exactly where the bullet is going. And it will tell you how bad your grip is right now. It'll tell you how bad that dot is moving all over the place, which will tell you I can't press the trigger because I don't have enough control over my gun. So some people say, well, a red dot's only useful for long distances. No, friends. It's also very useful for tight window shots. It's for small miss capability marksmanship. It's also not any slower than irons when you really get to know how to use your dot. So go over to Active Self-Protection Extra, soak up some of those lessons, get that dot torture down pat, so then that way it is just an easy part of your repertoire. Again, with these officers, I think they were 100% justified in what they did in shooting this guy. I think that their decision-making was good. Friends, the lesson here for every officer and private citizen, for you and I who are private citizens too, because the vast majority of people watching this have less firearms training than the officers on camera. The vast majority of people who are watching this could not make this shot either. I also will say at the end, there's going to be comments that, well, that female shouldn't be a cop. The male didn't hit any better than she did. It was not an issue of reproductive parts at all. Certainly in this one, it was an issue of marksmanship skills. So let's get them better so that we can protect the public and cover our asp.